Samuel, greetings. You look a bit pale. May I offer you something to drink?
Continuing vampire therapist.
Yeah, you got any drinker's blood?
I know you are joking. You will not dilute your blood before a session.
Yeah, I know, you're right. I just don't know who I'm meeting tonight. Is it gonna be Dr. Drain or that Lord Luridus fella?
You only met a single individual last time, and you will meet only a single individual this time. Do not let Dr. Drain's avoidance of accountability confuse you.
You saw the guy, though. Lord Luridus ain't nothing like Dr. Drain.
And why do you think that is, Samuel?
Well, maybe it's easier for Dr. Drain to blame Lord Luridus.
Correct, Samuel. A mild change in personality would be within Dr. Drain's control. Luridus is not, and therefore, Dr. Drain relinquishes control. Prepare yourself, my friend. Let us find the darkness that lives within Dr. Drain.
All right, I think I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Do not fear, Samuel. I shall not let Dr. Drain hurt you, no matter what he is calling himself. Do what you do best.
I will, I promise. And here he comes, whoever he is today. Doc?
Somewhat taciturn today, then. Well, don't be upset with me. I did warn you about that beast. At least now you recognize the urgency in being rid of him. Perhaps now we can stop beating about the bush and actually fix my addiction problem.
I'm here to help, but if we're gonna lick this thing, we gotta do it honestly, and that means getting to the root of the problem.
I tire of this self-examination process. There must be something efficacious that I can do. Perhaps some sort of aversion therapy. I am willing to do whatever it takes to make that villain just go away.
Then you gotta be willing to address the big old elephant in the room.
And what is that?
I hate to say it, but Lord Lourdes is kinda hot, ain't he?
I've never seen the man, and I fail to see what relevance his physical appearance has to my problem.
Well, I just thought you should know.
I could perform an MRI on you, you know. Perhaps rigor mortis has hit your brain.
Actually, it was something else I was gonna mention. You and Lord Lourdes ain't two different people. You keep talking about him like he's someone else, but you both got the same brain in there.
Complete and utter nonsense. You've met him. We share absolutely nothing in common. And what's more, I am fully aware that he hates me. Take a look at this note he left on my desk.
That's supposed to be you there with the micropenis?
Indeed. Juvenile humor, to be sure. Certainly nothing I would produce.
Ain't he got the same penis, though?
Quite so. I have no doubt he does the most terrible things with it.
So somehow he's got a different brain than you do, but the same penis. Something ain't adding up here, Doc.
I resent what you are suggesting. I have no effect on what Lord Lourdes does.
Dr. Drain seems to assign himself no responsibility at all for the actions of Lord Lourdes. Is this fair?
I resent what you are suggesting. I have no effect on what Lord Lourdes does.
Dr. Drain seems to assign himself no responsibility at all for the actions of Lord Lourdes. Is this fair?
I resent what you are suggesting. I have no effect on what Lord Lourdes does.
I know you're a pretty responsible fella, but you're giving Lord Lourdes more credit than he deserves.
What on earth are you talking about?
You know that old stereotype mortals like to spread about us where we can't go into a place until we're invited?
A ludicrous idea with no basis in scientific truth.
Ain't you giving Lord Lourdes your permission to come in and do what he does when you take that plasma stuff?
I didn't invite him in the first time. I had no idea what I had created. That his presence would become an addiction was not known to me.
Dr. Drain, you're a scientist. Your stock and trade is in facts, ain't it? Let's leave thought out of this for now. You gotta be my scientist here and stick to what we know.
Very well. Yes. The genesis of Lord Lourdes was in the actions and choices I took. Are you quite satisfied?
Doc, we ain't here for my satisfaction. You really think that?
Well, the fact that I am upset right now certainly lends credence to the idea that you are trying to shame me.
I won't lie to you, Doc. The people that Lord Luridus has hurt probably would have a bone to pick with you. But I ain't here to punish nobody. Well, that ain't the way to help you. In this room, we're working together. You're doing the hard work, and I'm just giving you support. Catch my drift, partner?
And so you do me even greater shame through kindness. I cannot win. Perhaps I should simply let that beast, Lord Luridus, have his way with me.
Come on now, Doc. You're jumping right to doom there. There are so many ways this therapy thing could go for you. It ain't we destroy Lord Luridus or Lord Luridus wins. Jumping right to catastrophe just ain't realistic. Already you're fighting him by being here. That means there's definitely something in the middle. And working together, we'll make things better. Maybe not completely better. This work ain't never done.
Of course, I am forgetting myself. I'm not usually prone to extremes. I shall attempt to be more mindful.
I ain't expecting you to be perfect, Doc. And I don't want you to expect perfection from yourself either. What I'm asking you for is self-compassion. That ain't erasing blame. It's just approaching yourself from a place of understanding. That's a scientific method, ain't it?
I doubt many in the scientific community would agree with such a statement, but I believe I understand the thrust of it. We cannot address facts if we mask them in emotionality.
That's exactly it, Doc. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Indeed. Thus my attempt to synthesize the thought properly.
Well, thank the dark powers that made us. Someone in here's the smart one.
Very well. We shall take a strategic, scientifically sound approach. We will agree upon facts, develop hypotheses, test and validate. If I rely on the science, I will never be wrong.
Whoa there, Doc. That's some real Nosferatu thinking. If you're gonna be so dogmatic about science, what's the difference between it and religion?
I am not being dogmatic. Scientific theory is designed to be challenged.
Are you open to be challenged then? Don't be so sure there's only one path forward. Your answers might be in how you feel rather than in data and formulas.
I suppose. Feelings are contextual hormonal clues in any event. I'll try to be mindful of them.
Well, sounds good to me, compadre. Let's start assembling them facts. Can I ask you some questions then?
You may. Let us begin.
All right, so you told me that the thing that makes your plasma addicting is how good it makes you feel when you wake up from it. From your scientific perspective, what makes it feel good?
From a chemical perspective, good feelings, or positive emotions, are the result of neurotransmitter action. Considering the specific emotions felt in the immediate moment are contentment and satisfaction, it is certain that I am experiencing an oxytocin and dopamine release. It is a primal limbic response. In laboratory settings, we observe a constant drive in animals towards stimulating the release of amygdala-receptive neurotransmitters.
I think you're gonna need to boil that down for me, Doc.
I did not come here to teach, but so be it. Ask your questions.
Well, what's the limbic system do?
The limbic system functions as the emotional center of the brain, responsible for emotional responses such as joy, fear, and anger.
So it's like the part of my brain deciding if I should be scared of a rattlesnake or happy about a belly full of blood?
Precisely. It plays a crucial role in forming memories and making decisions based on emotional experiences. Often called the lizard brain, it's evolutionarily one of the older parts of the brain, indicating its fundamental role in regulating survival instincts.
I've been called lizard brain before, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't a compliment. What's this about neurotransmitters?
Neurotransmitters are chemical messengers that neurons use to communicate with each other. For example, social bonding reliably triggers a release of oxytocin, creating a sense of security and attachment.
So, if I'm reading you right, when I'm feeling all snug after a good feed, is them oxytocin neurotransmitters doing their thing?
Exactly. This process is an integral part of our brain's reward system, encouraging behaviors that are perceived as beneficial for our survival and well-being.
So, survival feels good, basically.
Yes, though I would not publish such a statement in an academic paper.
So what's all this stuff really mean in the end, Doc? Why's this neurotransmitter stuff even matter?
An intriguing question. Naturally, emotion does not have a practical evolutionary application on its own. However, these emotions signal to the reptilian brain whether or not we are under threat.
Oh, well, dang, now I think we're getting somewhere. I think the answer's right in front of us.
Oh? And what is it that your rooting, tooting brain can synthesize that mine cannot?
Seems to me living like an animal is what you're craving. Well, maybe you could spend a little time living in the woods.
Ah yes, Dr. Drain, the man of the wilds. A fetching idea, if I were an entirely different person. I wasn't very outdoorsy in life either. This pale skin tone of mine did not change after death.
Well, I guess outdoor living ain't for everyone. Well, maybe the real meat of it is. You don't feel safe on your own. Taking that plasma forces you to get that neurotransmitter hit.
An intriguing theory. However, evidence stands against it. Like it or not, I am a vampire. The only thing that may threaten me is the sun or a more powerful vampire. I should not be experiencing feelings of mortal danger. I am not immortal. Logically, I should know such a thing is ridiculous.
There's them should statements again, Doc. It doesn't matter what logic says. You still got that part of your brain that says it's in danger, and that part doesn't care about logic.
An astute point, and an inconvenient one. That we should be saddled with such vestigial, primal concerns is most unfortunate.
Can't avoid the fact that we still got them human concerns. At least we don't gotta poop, huh?
Oh dear, and you are doing so well. At least I have nothing to fear from you.
It's true, though. We're still animals, partner. We gotta satisfy the animal. Just not through pooping.
But we are immortal. Why do we have animal needs, fears, and emotions? What possible use do they have?
Sometimes, Doc, you are just too smart for your own good. You're logicking away all the good things about being human. I mean, let's say we freed ourselves from those biological concerns. Got rid of all them fears and insecurities and quirks. Why are we doing anything then? I don't know about you, Doc, but I don't want to turn into a computer. All them great discoveries and works of art came from our humanity.
Perhaps it is so. Do you know, I met Isaac Newton several times. The young fellow was motivated indeed, but it was his human vindictiveness that made him so effective. All those motherfuckers who called me a nerd are going to pay, mark my words, he would say. Or something along those lines.
So, he was making sure none of those motherfuckers could hurt him.
That was certainly part of it. It was not just a love of science that drove the man. It is such a disappointing notion, however, to think that we cannot transcend our reptilian brain, even when we are beyond death.
We're dealing in facts, though, and I think what we're coming to is that your reptilian brain doesn't feel safe.
Which is absolutely ridiculous, but I must admit that it is somehow true. What a devastating revelation. Dr. Drain, for all his scientific achievement, is just an emotional little laboratory rat who bases all his decisions in fear.
I believe Dr. Drain is inflicting upon himself what the children of the sun call a self-burn.
What a devastating revelation. Dr. Drain, for all his scientific achievement, is just an emotional little laboratory rat who bases all his decisions in fear.
Man, you just jump right to that extreme. You're probably the smartest fella I ever met, Doc. You ain't a science god, but who is? I think there's a lot of room between being a lab rat and being the perfect logical being.
You are, of course, correct. I am letting my emotions get the better of me. Most unscientific.
Doc, I want to go back to one of them things I was telling you about in our first session, and that's self-compassion. Let's say you had some vampire apprentice, a scientist like you, who didn't know nothing like what you know, and said they were down on themselves for all the reasons you are. What would you say to them?
Well, I would explain that progress is non-linear. The scientific method, in fact, celebrates failure. That which does not conform to theory still informs theory.
Any chance you could put the scientist away and talk to their human side?
Well, I suppose I would say that it is fine, that all things are temporary, and the universe does not care to condemn them.
So how can we get you to say them things to yourself, Doc?
My situation is not the same. I was trained in the age of discovery. I bear the responsibility for that age. But if this project of mine, to create the blood that will sustain the world, is not what I am here for, then what is my purpose?
Well, let me ask you, what's the purpose of a gopher?
Rodentia geomedy. Rodents endemic to North America, known for their tunneling ability and as agricultural pests. I believe they are the prey of owls, snakes, and coyotes, and are omnivorous themselves, consuming vegetables, insects, and small mammals.
I wasn't expecting you to be so thorough. I don't think I knew half that stuff.
I have come to learn nearly everything there is to know about mammalian biology as a result of my research. Please get to the point.
I think I forgot what it was now.
That is not encouraging.
Hold on a sec, I think I've got it. Gophers are real cute, with their little hands and all. They might be vermin, but they're pretty adorable.
So you are suggesting what? That I am cute vermin?
Oh, no, nothing like that. I was just trying to lighten the mood.
By making me want to pull my own hair out?
Oh, wait, that wasn't it. The thing about gophers is... Well, see, you're kind of like a gopher.
Am I now? Pray tell, how am I like a gopher?
Well, you live underground, and you're real alert all the time. and that's it.
Science, save us.
Hold on, I think I remember now. Gophers have a purpose. Driving people crazy, that's what. Used to wreak havoc on the farmland back in Missouri.
Absolutely ridiculous. That is not their purpose. It's an ill-informed anthropocentric philosophy defined and subscribed to entirely by said anthropocentrists.
I didn't know bugs could do that.
Anthropocentrists, not arthropods. Humans. Homo sapiens. I am saying that you have created a purpose for the gopher that the gopher is entirely unaware of.
So, who made your purpose, Dr. Drain?
What? Well, I did, I suppose.
So if you made it, you can change it, right?
But how could I change my purpose? I have always been a scientist. So that's what I am.
Science is just what you do, compadre. That's one of them anthropocentric philosophies you mentioned. You're overgeneralizing about yourself. Dr. Drain's in there, and he's more than the things he knows are his job title.
That's the problem. I'm not sure that he is.
All right, well, let's take that scientific approach and try to figure out who the man behind the scientist is.
Very well. If we look at the behavior of our subject, myself, we can infer a few things. If we examine my behavior, one can draw a comparison to a threatened higher-thinking mammal. I spend much time in ensuring personal safety and security.
What about your more peaceful moments? What do they look like?
I believe these feelings are only medically induced through my special plasma. However, Dr. Drain appears to be at rest when he is full and satisfied.
And your synthetic blood doesn't do that for you.
I am forced to admit that at present, it does not.
Dr. Drain, what do you think of drinking something a little more fresh and human?
I will not. I do not have to. That depraved vampire, Lord Luridus, is the source of all that is base and vulgar about my person.
Doc, you're blaming Lord Luridus for something common to all vampires, including yourself. We need blood. That's just how it is. Ain't Lord Luridus's fault. Now, I know you ain't comfortable with that need, but you can't offload everything you ain't happy with onto Lord Luridus. That just makes him worse.
You have not been listening to me at all if you believe I have absolved myself of all vampiric frailty.
I didn't say that. I'm saying you're distancing yourself from your needs by saying they're Lord Luridus's needs. Well, what if you indulged Lord Luridus once in a while? Maybe you could keep him from coming out.
Do you not understand what I have been working toward for the last 400 years? I will finally be able to transcend this thing that I am. I shall be a parasite no more.
It seems the Doctor aims to transcend his nature. Can any do such a thing?
I will finally be able to transcend this thing that I am. I shall be a parasite no more.
It seems the Doctor aims to transcend his nature. Can any do such a thing?
I will finally be able to transcend this thing that I am. I shall be a parasite no more.
Come on, Dr. Drain. You're a scientist. You know mankind ain't got that kind of control over nature. Ain't you ever seen that movie where they bring back the dinosaurs?
That film was scientific drivel. Its simplistic understanding of DNA should have alienated its audience immediately. But then, who can guess with Americans?
It was a good story, though. And in the end, it wasn't a story about DNA. It was a story about controlling nature, which I'm sure you know ain't never worked.
Your argument does not hold weight when your source of truth is a fantasy film.
Dr. Drain, we really got to talk about some kind of middle path here. Back home, we tried the whole abstinence thing a few times, and it didn't go too well. We tried to stop drinking, and that just made people only do bad drinking. We tried telling teenagers sex was evil, and that just made them want it even more while being ashamed of themselves. What if you just tried to do some of them things Lord Luridus does? Just don't do them the way he does.
I find the idea utterly repellent.
Yeah, but then you go and take that plasma, and Lord Luridus makes the decisions. We don't want that, right?
Fine. Fine. I'll drink some blood. But I warn you, Sam, the price of failure is most dear. If I should lose my humanity, all of humanity will lose.
The entire world will suffer for Dr. Drain's failure. This is a stark vision for the future that he holds.
But I warn you, Sam, the price of failure is most dear. If I should lose my humanity, all of humanity will lose.
Or you pick yourself up and try again. Ain't that what the scientific method's all about? It ain't winning and losing. It ain't the end of humanity if things don't go perfectly. You're predicting the future, hombre. Ain't nothing scientific about that.
You think so? I can't imagine someone with my highly rational mind feeling so strongly if my prediction weren't firmly rooted in fact.
I know it all seems real heavy right now. Just show yourself a little compassion and patience. Beating yourself up over a future that ain't happened yet isn't gonna help you. We need to go back to this thing I brought up before. You're a smart fella, Dr. Drain, but sometimes you're forgetting vampire commonality. We've all felt like the world was ending or that we're awful monsters, but them feelings are our perceptions alone.
Yes, I'm aware. Perhaps I've been a little too human in my foibles. However, you forget my training in history. I am not an average vampire. I was trained by the great Professor William Harvey. I have had 4 centuries to unlock the secrets of animal biology. I have a duty to humanity and to my own legacy. A duty I should not fail in. Otherwise, what was it all for?
Dr. Drain is so certain of what he must do, and he does not consider any other fate. We immortals often become stuck in such thinking, alas.
I have a duty to humanity and to my own legacy. A duty I should not fail in. Otherwise, what was it all for?
Hold your horses there, amigo. You say you've got a duty to humanity? Well, that ain't scientific at all. It ain't just anthropocentric, it's Dr. Drain-centric. Nobody said you had to do anything. Remember when we first started talking, I told you about them should statements? That's what you're doing, compadre. Just remember that them shoulds are yours.
Yes, I must be frustrating to you, Sam. I invoke the same delusions over and over again.
Hey, come on, Doc. You should be proud of yourself. You know what the difference is between you and vampires who never improve themselves? You ain't like other vampires. You ain't concerned about being cool and sexy.
Oh, yes, of course. It was a very deliberate choice of mine to not be cool or sexy. Under normal circumstances, I'd be the cover model for Cool People Aficionado magazine, but I rejected their calls.
Wait, really?
No, not really. Do you actually think Cool People Aficionado magazine exists?
Shucks, I guess now that you say it again, it sounds kind of silly. I meant to say the big difference between you and vampires who never improve is... You're smarter than they are. If anyone can lick this addiction problem, it's you.
I was smarter than other vampires yesterday, and it has availed me no solutions. I have a great many problems, but intellect is not one of them.
Yeah, I guess you're right. What I meant to say was... You're here. You've made a commitment to getting your head on straight, and you're getting there, my friend. Already you're making some big changes and investing in yourself. I can see it. So let's cut Dr. Drain a break. How about it, amigo? He doesn't need the weight of the world on him. There's only one thing he should do, and that's have a little understanding and empathy for himself. You get me?
Yes, I get you. Very well. I shall try to keep a clear head. And I will arrange to drink some real blood. There's plenty of it in the lab. I shall just liberate some of it.
Good man. We'll talk about how it's gone next month, all right?
Indeed. Until then, Sam, and thank you for your patience.
I ain't got nothing but time, amigo. You can thank me by being patient with yourself.
All the same, you have my thanks. I shall see you in a few weeks then. Farewell.
Well done indeed, Samuel. I think we are starting to see a new version of the good doctor in the making.
I hope you're right, boss. That fella's awful hard on himself.
That is normal, my friend. Being a vampire takes a lot of self-acceptance. He is only taking his first steps in discovering this.
Yeah, fair enough. It took other people forgiving me for me to forgive myself.
And now you pass on this gift of compassion to Dr. Drain. Now, Samuel, the evening is still young. See what the night has to offer downstairs.
That sounds good, Andy.
Rest in peace, my friend.
I always come out of the doc sessions feeling dumber than ever. I'll check in with Crimson. She's always got some bartender's wisdom to share. Howdy, Crimson. Looks like a nice crowd tonight.
They're always a nice crowd, cowboy. We like to maintain an asshole-free zone.
I'll try not to be an asshole then.
I'm not worried about you, cowboy. You had a session tonight, didn't you?
Yeah, with the doctor fella. We had a hard talk about what being a vampire means. He's having a hard time coming to terms with it, even after 400 years.
I can understand that. I've stopped aging for the last 20 years and don't know how I feel about it yet. How do you think it went with him?
I think we're finally getting somewhere, actually. It's funny, a lot of vampires forget they're human, but he keeps forgetting he's a vampire. But just like we can't opt out of being human, we can't opt out of being vampires either.
Must have been a hard talk, cowboy. I sometimes wonder what I am. Staying the same age, drinking Andy's blood to live. Don't get me wrong, I like not being dead, but I still feel like I'm living on borrowed time.
Is this a good time to ask why you don't just join the dark side? It ain't that bad being dead.
I'm just not sure what I'd do with forever, you know? Eternity's a long time.
Yeah, I think a lot of us vampires can't answer that question either. And I don't think there's one answer anyway.
There you go. So I guess I'll keep putting off the question.
But nobody's rushing you, Crimson.
You think I'd let anyone? But thanks for listening, cowboy. Now why don't you go mingle? There's a new fella in the kink room who's very interested to meet you.
I guess I'll go be social then. Thanks, Crimson. Wait a sec, that ain't...
Greetings, my child.
Keep your distance, amigo. I know our kind ain't had good history, but I ain't in the mood for an exorcism or nothing.
Ah, my child of the dark. If I were to exorcise you, nothing would be left when I was done. Only the good Lord is free of sin. We are all children of darkness.
Holy smokes, what Bible have you been reading?
I know my scripture, my son. However, I am by scripture and dark metal ordained, not by any church of man.
So, you're some kind of freelance priest?
Yes, I suppose I am. It is the only way I can give succor to those who need it most.
So I gotta ask, seeing as we're in a kink room, what kind of sucker are we talking about?
I follow in the path of the Lord. I share my body, and I share my blood.
Ain't this a little blasphemous for your kind?
To whom, my child? God is in everything, including you, sweet vampire. Can God blaspheme against himself? I merely wish to give comfort to those who live in darkness, and so I choose to live in darkness with them. Come, my son, I shall give succor to you.
Well, all right. Maybe if you stop calling it that.
Thou shalt not want, my son. Are you comforted?
Yeah, I guess I am.
I know those of my faith have hunted your kind. Perhaps we fear our own sin, so we seek the sins of others. I seek only the Lord in everything, as do we all, whether we know it or not.
You ain't wrong, I suppose. Hey, a little awkward, but what's your name, fella?
I am Kieran. It means Little Dark One. The night always did call to me.
Well, Kieran, I'm Sam, and I appreciate the blood, but I'm gonna turn in. A little sleepy now.
Go with God, my child of the night.
Oh, yeah, I'll do that.
A fine evening to you, Samuel. Are you ready for tonight's session with Signora D'Este?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're making some good progress.
That is wonderful. Remember, though, that the road to inner peace is not a straight line.
True enough. I like to say I didn't make my path. Nature did.
Samuel, you have the makings of a poet.
Oh, I meant it more literally. When I was walking in the woods, I just walked where the land led me.
But you see, this is a wonderful metaphor. If there is a valley between two mountains, that is the path nature takes us on. We often choose to climb the mountain instead when the easier path is made for us. Your experience guides your intuition more than you might expect, my friend.
Guess it's that peasant wisdom the Signora mentions.
Be careful with the labeling, my friend.
I didn't mean it in a bad way. I ain't ashamed of being a peasant. I'm just folks, as we like to say.
I can see why the Signora has become quite fond of you. Are you prepared for your session with her?
Yeah, I think with our progress, there might be some other distortions to focus on. Let me think. All right, locked and loaded.
The people of your country have so many colorful phrases having to do with firearms. I do not understand the obsession.
I can't explain it neither.
I shall leave you alone with the Senora, Samuel.
Howdy, Senora. Good to see you tonight.
You are looking forward to seeing me?
Well, sure I was. You're an interesting person, Senora. It's a privilege to get to know you.
I suppose you have learned something of manners yourself. I thought a lot about the things we talked about last time, you know.
Oh, yeah? What about exactly?
About how foolish I was for wasting my time for so long fighting against reality.
A woman so learned and accomplished was probably never ineffective or foolish, don't you think, Samuel?
About how foolish I was for wasting my time for so long fighting against reality.
Now hold on, Senora. Maybe you were fighting reality some, but that doesn't mean you were wasting your time. That fighting with reality is just part of what makes you human. It's your experience, your journey that you're learning from.
But if the aim was to control my family, I failed to achieve that aim.
Yeah, but that's real all or nothing aim, Senora. It's easy to fail when the conditions for winning are so narrow, right?
Yes. You are, of course, correct. Would that I had listened to the simpletons in my life earlier.
Well, I'm glad you've been doing some thinking. You were putting so much pressure on yourself to be the one keeping your family going. I can tell how much it was weighing on you.
I spent so long trying to fix them, trying to transform them into something that they were not. May I talk to you about my ex-husband, Sam?
Of course you can. I know he gave you a lot of grief.
He hurt me deeply, in so very many ways. He was the start of all my delusions because I thought I could fix him. I thought Frankie was the way he was because I was not an ideal wife. That perhaps he would have been faithful if I had been as beautiful or fertile as a Medici. I know I have been arguing with reality, as you have said, but the idea of a fruitful marriage, sanctified by God, this was the only reality I had. But that reality did not match with mine. God could not have blessed both our marriage and riddled Frankie's penis with French diseases.
French diseases?
We used to call syphilis the malfrance.
Diseases don't belong to any nationality. You sound like a certain politician from back home.
Do not insult me. Have I not suffered enough with my husband's disgusting malady? It was a painful lie to live. I could only conclude from my sorrow that God was testing me. Endlessly.
I want to challenge you on something there. That sounds like a kind of hopeless statement, like you're doomed to keep being tested on God's terms.
Perhaps it was hopeless. As you said, Isabella d'Este and Francesco Gonzaga could not change their natures.
That's true, but here's the thing. Does that mean you were doomed, or were you just doomed on God's terms? I think this just needs a little reframing. I know you were dealt a rough hand, but it doesn't necessarily mean you were being tested. Sometimes we just gotta make do with the hand we got. What I'm suggesting is that then and now, a radical acceptance approach could have helped you.
What do you mean?
You could have become a nun, right? That would have been a way out of your situation.
Sam, you know me better than most at this point. Could I have been a nun?
Well, I guess you could have been the queen of the nuns.
That was not an available position.
Maybe it wouldn't have worked out then. How about being polyamorous? That way you'd still have each other at home, but you could have gotten different needs satisfied by different people.
Please. It was the 1490s. Such things were not acceptable unless you were a pop singer like Bartolomeo Tromboncino.
Oh yeah, Bartolomeo Tromboncino. Can't forget him.
Do not be impertinent. He was a Frotolo star. Every man and woman dreamed of sleeping with him, including myself.
Huh. I figure Fratello would have been illegal. All that rubbing in public.
Porca miseria. A Frotolo is like a madrigal. He was a madrigal singer. You are thinking of frotage.
Oh yeah, sorry. Guess them mortals downstairs got to me. You could have had some sort of secret arrangement. That was pretty common back then, right?
Oh, we did have a secret arrangement. The arrangement was that he kept secrets from me and I pretended not to know about them.
Had you ever considered talking about it?
I could not. You do not know what it was like back then. A woman, even one such as I, was always subject to her husband. I did not have a say in his affairs. I had to play the part of the good wife and mother. You must understand, I only earned my significant power by playing the societal game.
But he knew you were aware of his indiscretions, didn't he?
It was hard to deny when he approached me with that rotten thing between his legs.
So why not bring the issue out in the open?
He would have become angry, I am sure. Perhaps he would have beaten me and taken away the privileges I had worked so hard to earn. Perhaps it is pointless to tread over the past again and again. What has happened has happened. It has been nearly 5 centuries. I should not let the past haunt me so. If I am true, Sam, I am still very angry about all the lies I was told. I may be harboring some resentment.
You don't say.
You will understand when I tell you of Frankie's greatest cruelty. I will tell you that the man, for all his fighting spirit, had very weak sperm, for he could not sprout a male seed in my womb.
Hold on, are you really blaming your husband's sperm for your having girls?
It could not have been my fault.
Senora, even I know it's just luck of the draw. I think you know that too.
Fine. Perhaps I just wanted to insult Frankie. But I will continue. My first child was a girl. I could not have been more embarrassed. Or so I thought, until I had my second child, who was also a girl. I will tell you, Sam, I was a young woman in mourning. I did not emerge from my chambers for weeks. The next time, finally, I had a boy, my beautiful Federico. He was such a charming child. He would entertain me so with his clownish behavior. May I show you a picture, Sam?
Well, sure, let's take a look.
Look at him. Isn't he beautiful? He could have been a movie star or a model today, don't you think? Admit it, he is the most handsome boy who ever walked this cursed earth.
Well,
Why am I asking you? What do you know of beauty? Anyway, I gave all of myself to him, all my guidance, all my wisdom, and all of my love. Everyone said, "You are doting on him. Give him some air." How dare they tell me my business? I am Isabella d'Este. I know what is right.
Oh, Samuel, if more parents admitted their fallibility, perhaps the world would be a more understanding place.
Everyone said, "You are doting on him. Give him some air." How dare they tell me my business? I am Isabella d'Este. I know what is right.
Senora, I'm sure you knew what was best for your son, but ain't it possible that those people might have been able to help you? It's lonely work when you feel like you can't listen to anyone else.
Are you telling me how I should have raised my son?
I got a better sense of self-preservation than that, Senora. But you gotta admit, this Nosferatu thinking of being always right is pretty exhausting, ain't it?
Oh, that is true. And as it turned out, pointless. It did not matter in the end. Frankie, in his supreme foolishness, managed to get himself captured by the French. He ransomed himself out of prison with something more precious than all the gold in Venezia, more valuable than the Pope's seat. He sold my son, my beautiful Federico.
Dang, that must have been devastating, Senora. I can't imagine how painful that must have been.
No, you cannot. For you will never be a mother to a son so beautiful, so intelligent, and so pure. But that was not the end of my pain. It was not enough to take my son away. Not content to merely break me, the French, as always, needed to corrupt.
What do you mean the French always needed to corrupt?
They are a debauched people. I know what they are like.
Senora, you're too smart to judge an entire group of people based on an icky sample. You did that last time talking about the Spanish, and I called you out on it then too. Besides, we're vampires. What the hell does it mean to be French or Italian after a century? All the people that made France French back then are dead now.
Yes, of course I am aware. I speak out of anger and hurt.
I figured. But honest heads make for honest hearts, I like to say. What did the French do to your son?
They sent my sweet Federico to a den of filth, a place where chastity went to die, straight to the crossroads of Sodom and Gomorrah. They sent him to the Vatican.
The Vatican? Seems like that'd be a pretty boring place for a boy to spend time.
This was Rodrigo Borgia's Vatican. It was a city of prostitutes and perverts, and he was their mayor. My poor Federico. He was a boy of a certain age. I could not have prepared him for the temptations he encountered. When he finally returned to me, he was no longer Isabella d'Este's child. He was the child of Francesco Gonzaga, an experienced whoremonger in his own right.
Isabella's need for perfection caused her to no longer recognize her son. Quite a sad story, I must say.
When he finally returned to me, he was no longer Isabella d'Este's child. He was the child of Francesco Gonzaga, an experienced whoremonger in his own right.
Hold on a sec. No longer your child? You can't think that's true. You raised that boy, and there's no way he could forget you. Maybe he got up to shenanigans out there in the Vatican, but you're only hurting yourself by erasing your influence on him. Now be honest. Did he lose everything you taught him?
No. He still had an appreciation of art, for which he had some taste. And he had some political acumen, I suppose.
I'm not saying you should forget what happened to your son. That would be pretty unrealistic. But give yourself some credit for the influence you had, huh?
You are kind, Sam. Thank you. But it is hard to forget the child who returned to me. I am a man now, mother, he would say. I do not have to listen to you. And indeed, he did not. Which is why he died of syphilis, just like his depraved father. He did not even have the courtesy to wait until I was dead. Now do you understand why I prefer the illusion of truth and beauty I try to bring to art? My mother told me when my marriage was young, Isabella, you must pretend that all is as it should be. The truth is dark, but you must maintain your own.
I hate to say it, Senora, but I think your mama was spouting a few should statements of her own. Keeping up that illusion must have been draining.
That is why I tried to create my own illusions. If I depicted love and chastity in their ideal form, I could make that illusion come true.
Well, Senora, if anyone were strong enough to change the world's morality, it might be you. But I think you know the truth is that you don't have that kind of control. No one does.
Then why am I here, Sam? Why are any of us here? Are we here to eat, sleep, fornicate, and die?
I know a few folk who might say that's why we're here. It's one of them existential questions, ain't it? Here's my take, Senora. I think you're here to be you.
I certainly hope you have something more intelligent to contribute than that.
I don't really. Here's the thing, Senora. None of us is going to change the world overnight, or even in a millennium of nights. But our being here, being ourselves, swings the pendulum in a whole bunch of unknowable ways.
That is a dark interpretation of reality. Are we truly so powerless?
Isabella sees imperfection as helplessness. Help her see otherwise, my friend.
That is a dark interpretation of reality. Are we truly so powerless?
What I'm saying, Senora, is not that we're powerless. I'm just saying we ain't gonna change the world on our own. Not everyone's gonna buy what we're selling, but some people are gonna get it. People are still out there talking about the art you brought to the world. Maybe fellas like me don't know who you are, and I bet that nasty Pope from your time wasn't your biggest fan. But you can't help but be an influence on people. Just not all people. Ain't that so?
I do not know if that is enough for me, Sam.
Well, here's what I think we should do, Senora. All them efforts of yours are always facing outward. How about we spend some time on you?
What do you mean?
I mean, let's work on the things Isabella d'Este likes. Forget about the rest of the world. What are you putting in your art that's for you and not for anyone else? Is it a little embarrassing?
Hush. If you must know, it is centaurs. I like centaurs.
Hey, I ain't gonna judge. Sometimes I like horses better than people too.
Yes, well, they are pleasing to look at.
Now, how about this then? Why don't you pick up a brush and paint yourself up a centaur?
I have not attempted to paint for centuries.
This is just for you, Senora. No expectations. How's that sound?
I cannot believe I revealed this thing to you.
I'm glad you did. I'm a lucky fella. I get to know an Isabella d'Este no one else knows.
And no one else will know, or I will make you suffer. Capiche?
You got a deal, Senora. I'm here to be supportive, that's all. I hope that when you come back next month, we'll be having a nice conversation about you finding your muse.
Yes, perhaps. Very well, Sam. I do not understand your ways, but I cannot deny you have a certain untamed wisdom. I shall attempt to paint a centaur. This is not what I expected from therapy, but I shall do as you suggest. I shall see you in 4 weeks then. Arrivederci, Sam.
Oh yeah, see you soon, Senora. Arrivederci.
Goodbye.
Well, well, Samuel, you never cease to impress. Centaurs.
I don't think you're supposed to know about that, boss.
I am 3,000 years old, my friend. Horse people are somewhere at the very tip of my kinky iceberg. It is already forgotten.
Well, the Senora's pretty embarrassed about it, so I'd appreciate it if you kept it to yourself.
Senora d'Este is wise to put her faith in you, Samuel. I will gently remind you that relationships between therapists and clients are highly discouraged.
Oh, come on, Andy. It ain't like that. Senora d'Este is just... You're messing with me.
Of course I am. Unless...
All right, you know what? I'm going downstairs. I could use a drink.
Well earned, Samuel. Please, rest in peace.
Poor Senora. That lady's holding on to a lot of anger. Reminds me of myself as a young vampire. in here tonight. I think I'll get some air. Maybe I can get to know Bert a little better. Hey, Bert, how's the crowd tonight? Same old, huh? So, what do you think of Leipzig, Bert? Real fascinating architecture here. Hey, not everyone's into architecture, I get it. So what do you do for fun here? More of a homebody, I guess. Yeah, I'm a little introverted too. Spent 90 years walking in the woods, you know. Yeah, there's nothing I like better in nature. The trees, the plants, the animals. The cities just seem so dead at night. I can tell I'm interrupting. Well, nice talking to you anyway, Bert. I'm gonna head inside.
Have fun, mate.
Hey, Crimson, how's the crowd?
Hey, cowboy. Bit busy tonight, but how'd your session go?
Telling the truth, I'm getting a little frustrated. I think this lady knows she can't control everything, but she's so damn mad about it, she can't stop trying to do just that.
I know how she feels, cowboy. I feel like I wasted years of my life in D.C. trying to make the world a better place. But it sounds like you are making progress to me. She's got time to make her peace. That's what Andy says about you vampires.
Yeah, that's true. We can take 40 years or 400, but that's up to us.
In the meantime, I'll whip something up for a hot summer night.
What's this now?
Blood margarita. Figured a hot-blooded desperado like you could use something cold.
Oh, mighty kind of you, Crimson. I'll let you get back to work and take this up to my coffin for a quiet night.
Night, Sam.
Now let's see, what'll help me reflect on the night? I think there's something Omar Khayyam once wrote that I can look up. Or I could watch Buster Keaton almost get himself killed a bunch. One of my transcendentalist friends told me about this one. I ain't too good with poetry, but this piece always stuck with me. The moving finger writes, and having writ, moves on. Nor all thy piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all thy tears wash a word out of it. Funny how people in far-off places and times always had some similar perspectives. Omar's right. You can't change the past. Life moves forward. I think that's enough for one night. Better get me some shut-eye. Got the feeling my work's gonna get harder before it gets easier.
My dear Samuel, greetings. How are you feeling tonight?
I think I'll stop here for today. Have a good day or night, everyone.